right, guys. Well, welcome to this week's installment of Bunch of Trailers presented by The Nerdy Bunch. I am your host, The American Yank. Along with me, of course, is English Dave, Mr. David.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, 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 indeed. All right, guys, what we've got...
That's how English people talk. We say yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
Part of the everyday British vernacular.
Hey, yo, oi. Anyhow, guys, we've got a quick bunch of trailers for you because, little secret, right before we recorded this, we were on with old Shane O'Mac, our ever-watching Big Brother 1984 style producer. And we just reviewed The Outlaw King. So when that drops, go listen to it and then jump right in here because you'd be like, wow, I understand how this led into here now. And anyhow, that's just how we do it, right?
That will drop, I think, this Friday upon release of this podcast on Tuesday.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But guys, today we only have a quick bunch of trailers. I feel like it's a calm before the storm, Dave. Like, we're going to get into some heavy stuff coming down the stretch here towards Oscar season and the end of the year. But for right now...
And what's starting to happen is like all the trailers we've been speaking about throughout the year, the movies are starting to come out now.
It's true. I mean, we're going to we're re-reviewing a trailer that we talked about in an earlier podcast. So,
and Outlaw King it's a movie that we reviewed as a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the earliest trailers we reviewed, actually.
And we followed up because that's what we do.
That's what we do.
But today we are going to be going through two trailers, guys. Mowgli and both on Netflix, Mowgli and Bird Box. So without further ado, let's get into it. Dave, let's tell them about the first one, Mowgli.
I've never seen a man cub before. It's so small.
Kira, why am I different?
You are special, little brother.
You've got hands, so let's use them. Some.
Out of my way! I shouldn't let them pick on you like that. Wolves are supposed to be with other wolves.
He's not a wolf.
I've seen the way you look at the village. Mowgli, you are one of them.
All I've ever wanted is to belong.
You will always be my son, Mowgli. Nothing can ever change that.
The jungle is changing. Man is taking more of it. And the boy may just be our only hope of survival.
We're afraid of what man might do to us. The pack needs you, Mowgli.
How you've grown.
I am not a man, but neither am I a wolf. Which of you will follow me?
Man cub, the whole jungle has been watching you.
I won't fail!
Mowgli, retitled Mowgli Legend of the Jungle for reasons we'll go into later, is by acclaimed actor and director Andy Serkis. For those of you who don't know, he was Sméagol in The Lord of the Rings and also famously known for the guy who pioneered the motion capture used in the Planet of the Apes series. He reinvents Rudyard Kipling's beloved masterpiece, in which a boy torn between two worlds accepts his destiny and becomes a legend. Mowgli has never truly belonged in either the wilds of the jungle or the civilized world of man. Now he must navigate the inherent dangers of each on a journey to discover where he truly belongs. This hits Netflix on December 7th. This was actually supposed to be a Warner Brothers studio film and went into production around the same time as Disney's Jungle Book. And I guess things changed for obvious reasons. And Travis and I have kind of mentioned this when this idea was kind of put on the table. And I still feel the same. This was originally supposed to be a darker take on the Jungle Book story. And now to me, this trailer, and I'll let you start off with what your thoughts are, Travis, but to me, this trailer looks like it's trying to kind of ride the coattails of Disney film and trick people into thinking it's the Jungle Book 2. But what are your thoughts, Travis, upon seeing this trailer?
Well, if I recall, Dave, my first initial thoughts when this first came across our screens was like, why do we need this film at all? I mean, it's like there are some films that it's like, why do we need this film? That said, though, because I'm being generous with my silver linings, because I need some, Dave. I need some wins. Liverpool beating Fulham wasn't quite the happy-go-lucky time I needed. So in the silver lining, Dave, I will say in this cut of the trailer, it does seem to have more of a grit than the first one. Like the first one was very much a teaser, and you're like, gosh, this why do we need this film? This one, as long as it kind of clearly states, because I don't think regular people will get there on their own, that the Jungle Book was an actual written novel prior, and this is what they're going off of, then they'll give themselves some spacing to differentiate themselves, because it does feel grittier. It feels like the village is a little bit more of a thing. There's a little bit more culture, kind of just like a narrative. But that being said, it's like, you know, you can blow your nose in a lot of different tissues, Dave, but there's only one Kleenex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how it feels. So, hey, they've got the cast, obviously. Andy Serkis, need no introduction. I think on top of him being a great actor, he's a good editor, he's a good motion caption actor as well, and he's a good director. He's had times directing both some portions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm sure he's had some ties in with directing the Planet of the Apes, at least in production as well. So, you know, I think that this actually can be a good film, but the hype around it, the aura around it, I think is tethering it down. And frankly, Dave, and I think you're going to agree with me on this one, the CGI doesn't look comparable to that of Disney's. So we'll see how that plays out. But what are you thinking? Has this re-engaged you with the story, or are you still feeling the same way?
Here's my thing, is this movie has a couple of good things going for it. Inadvertently, I might add. Firstly, and some of these things can also be a negative thing for it. It depends on how it plays out. But firstly, the fact that it went into pre-production, I say, or development around the same time as Disney's film, probably helped it get this great cast. You have Christian Bale, Benedict Cumberbatch, Cate Blanchett, Peter Mullen, Tom Holland, Naomi Watts, and obviously Andy Serkis is also starring in this as Baloo. So that's a great cast, which I think most wouldn't have signed up for it after the Disney film. If this came into production after the Disney film, they would have seen that and like, I don't know. So they got lucky, or it was a blessing for them that when this was casting, the Disney film wasn't a thing yet. So that would probably help it. It's also kind of a blessing that they've now switched the film. This was supposed to be a theatrical release, and it was pushed back. You know, some people might think, and this could be detrimental to the film, some people might think, oh, they're just reacting, they're making this film to kind of ride the coattails of the Disney film. That's not the case. This went to production around the same time. It just got delayed because of the success of the Disney film. So what might help it is that it's getting a Netflix release, not a theatrical release anymore. I don't think people would want to watch it because they just feel like, well, this is a ripoff. Netflix people kind of already know to separate Netflix and theatrical. And so that might help it out. That being said, it feels like it's trying, again, the original synopsis was this darker take. This doesn't feel like a darker take. This feels like it's trying to hope that people might accidentally think it's a sequel to Disney's film. Because if you're not part of the kind of film news and everything like that, you're just flicking through Netflix, you might accidentally think, and if the last time you saw the Jungle Book Disney film was when it initially came out in theaters, which was like a couple of years ago now, you might think, oh wow, the sequel's out, and just watch it. So that might help this film out. But Disney is doing a sequel. Jon Favreau is doing a sequel. So
Jungle Book
again,
2.
This is one of those situations where, and actually, fun fact, shameless plug here, we recently recorded a podcast, Carlos and I, we haven't posted it yet, but we posted in the next few days. We talked about twin movies. There's a history in Hollywood of twin movies where similar movies come out around the same time. This doesn't quite fit our criteria because there was a bit of a delay in release, but history shows that sometimes both movies can succeed. Sometimes one succeeds completely, but then sometimes there's that third criteria where one can kind of have minor success because the first one succeeded so well. And I think maybe they can go for that because being on Netflix, it doesn't have to do well opening weekend. It doesn't have to hit that $100 million opening weekend. So it doesn't compete on that level. It can just be in the background and someone will accidentally watch it. So I guess I won't be watching it unless people say it's good. Because you know me, Travis, and Netflix movies. Especially those that were dumped on Netflix.
Indeed.
So I don't know, because I love the other Jungle Book, but I am willing to be, my opinions to be steered if people say, no, actually, no, this is pretty good. Even though it's a similar story, it still works on its own merit. I think it could because, like you said, Andy Serkis is capable. We'll just see how it turns out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Dave. I am not going to be rushing to see this. I think I'll actually just be on Netflix around December 14th and be like, oh yeah, forgot this film dropped a week ago. So we'll see. We'll go on, guys. You know what? Since this is a Netflix film, I, Travis, the American Yank, will put it upon myself to watch this and review it for everybody, because that is my generosity during the holiday season, Dave. That's what I will do. That's what I will do for the people, and I will come back and I will say with irrevocable and undeterred opinion that it is a film.
It has a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yes. That is as much as I can offer as of this far. But on to our next one, Dave. Another Netflix film. Netflix really pounding it in the end zone. Maybe not. Maybe they're getting stuffed at the 1 yard line, but they are certainly attempt after attempt after attempt, and just really showing how much money they are willing to throw into the ether to get content, good or bad. This one could be part of that bad folder. I don't know, Dave. Let's tell them about the Bird Box. Let's just jump into it.
Please don't take my children!
How have you been feeling? Have you been sleeping any better?
Rough. Then again, I never slept well before this condition.
Condition? It's called pregnancy. It's okay to say it out loud.
What's going on?
People describe seeing an entity that takes on the form of your worst fears.
Oh my God.
What are you looking at? What did you see? What is wrong with you? Please stop it!
We can't stay here.
Every contact we have had with the outside has brought us death.
Your kids, they deserve hope.
Every single decision I have made has been for them. We are going on the trip now. It's going to be rough.
Hold on!
If you hear something in the woods, you tell me. If you hear something in the water, you tell me. But under no circumstance are you allowed to take off your blindfold.
You hear that? The creatures.
Yes, the Bird Box. When a mysterious force decimates the world's population, only one thing is certain. If you see it, you take your life. Facing the unknown, Mallory finds love, hope, and a new beginning only for it to unravel. Now she must flee with her 2 children down a treacherous river to the one place left that may offer sanctuary. But to survive, they'll have to undertake perilous 2-day journey blindfolded. This stars Sandra Bullock and John Malkovich, and is set for release December 21st on Netflix. Firstly, I will say this plays with sci-fi elements, maybe.
Don't know what else you'd call it.
I mean, well, unless they flip the script and say it's supernatural. That's why I say that, because the trailer doesn't really show us what the antagonist is. We get a sense of what it is, but we don't see anything visual. But part of the narrative is if you're infected somehow, you see the things. But somehow it doesn't work indoors. I wonder why. I don't know. Bird Box is actually based on a novel. Fun fact. And it was initially going to be made by Andy Muschietti, who gave us It. That would have been very interesting. But now it's here on Netflix. For me, it seems like, and this could be good or bad, but it feels like it's trying to be A Quiet Place. It has that kind of feel and tone, even though it's very different. There's that tone of it, which could be in its favor. Though, I will say about this trailer, it's a Netflix trailer. And the Netflix have done this to me many times, Travis, with sci-fi. But they'll do a trailer that gets, I'm like, interesting premise. I'm interested in this premise, Extinction. And then the delivery. So with me, I'm intrigued at the fact that they have this cast. Sarah Paulson, Trevante Rhodes, John Malkovich, and Sandra Bullock. Netflix is good at bringing A-list actors, or B-plus list actors, but the top tier actors that you wouldn't expect to be on Netflix film. Netflix has been doing that, but then again, they don't often deliver either. It doesn't matter. Netflix is always just showing us that it doesn't matter. You can have the A-list stars. The movie can still be
Yeah, agreed.
So I think this could go either way. But being a movie, I think over the holiday period, if I'm bored and at home and I can't be bothered to go to the movies, I might check this out because it's sci-fi.
Dave, you want to hear a fun fact?
Let me know.
Mallerman wrote, who is the author of the book, as you just stated, Josh Mallerman, author of the Bird Box novel, wrote the rough draft for Bird Box prior to the release of 2008 M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening and 2009 The Road, which caused him to worry that the book might get lost in the shuffle. So he waited a damn long time to re-release
sometimes
this
that's
idea.
a good thing. He was like, I have a good idea, but I don't want people to think, maybe that's what Andy Serkis is trying to do with Jungle Book.
Perhaps. But if we talk about The Happening and The Road, one I think was better than the other, I think in popular opinion too.
The Happening sucked, The Road was good.
If this is kind of in that realm of influence, does that cause you to think that it's going to look any particular way? Or do you think that he's going to, within the rewrites, assumably the rewrites since 2009, do you think he's shuffled it around and might have given it some nuance to what makes a thriller in the 20 teens better than one in the early 20,000s?
I think I think because I read that piece of that fact, and I think one of the reasons he probably moved it was also because he didn't want people to think, because again, The Happening sucked, but The Road was good, but for very different reasons, and they didn't want people to mistake the two for each other. It's like whenever I tell people, have you seen The Mist? It's a great movie. And then they think it's The Fog, and they think it's a terrible movie. I'm like, no, I know they came out around the same time, but The Mist is amazing. And going back again to the kind of the podcast that Carlos and I did on twin movies, I think, like Jungle Book, that was a good decision to move it. And he may not have changed too much of the story. He may have just moved it especially because of The Happening and The Road are not the same kind of movie at all. So maybe he was going for tone. Maybe there's a tonal feel to it that people might have thought, oh, is this this movie or that movie? And so that's why he probably moved it. Like you said, he was involved in one of the drafts of the script, which means as a writer, a novel or book writer, he wants to be involved in bringing this to the screen as well. I wonder how much involvement he had in bringing it to Netflix. I'm not sure. But there's a good concept there, though. I want to see how it plays out where you have these characters where I want to see what this fear is. What is this? That's what's going to make or break it, though. Is what is
if the fear is tangible?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a tangible element to it because we see in the trailer where they're in the car and the sensors are picking it up.
Yeah. So
it's not just in their mind. So the way I think it is from having not read the book, there's a physical presence that's causing people to see things that aren't there. So if you see this physical presence, you also see these other things. I don't know. There's something I'm not quite sure yet, because it seems that when you're indoors and close the curtains, you're fine. So it's not something in the air. It's not, the light or whatever. It's something that's physically out there, which I'm intrigued by. Then they could drop the ball, because again, look what happened with Extinction. Because once you found out what was physically there, you're like, really? That's what it was?
Extinction was hot garbage.
So, like with most Netflix movies, long-time listeners know where I stand. With movies, I'm kind of apprehensive, but sci-fi will pull me in, kind of like Extinction did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that if in fact the writer remained in the writing room with the other writers of this film, we'll see how people react who have read the book too, because then you kind of figure out, is Netflix this altruistic, hey, we'll let the creators be creative, man, we're going to get we're letting those guys get their chance on Netflix, man. If that is the case, it'd be interesting to see how the fans of the novel look at this, and if in fact the writer was kind of shoved away for more of the studio authority. Because
should I do a challenge? Should I read the book?
Is it a thick book?
I don't know. I might check it out. If it's not too thick, I have time. I could read that book.
Could probably do the audiobook and do it real quick on a couple runs, get it down.
Ooh, I'm gonna see if there's an audio. Okay, if there's an audiobook, I'm definitely gonna do the audiobook, and then see.
Dave, I would be intrigued. I'd be intrigued to see how you come out of that challenge. And I do challenge you to that, because I think someone with your type of eye and your critique, it'd be fascinating to see in comparison if you can see where Netflix might be more involved, or where they strong-armed, or if they didn't. And if that's the case, I think that if it is as close to the book as it could be, then I think we're in safe shoes, because clearly there's a fan base here for this book. So that being said, I would be interested to see if you were to do that, how it compares. Because I'll give you this.
Do you know who I know will be definitely watching this movie? Raven, our very own Raven on the Nerdy Bunch. She is a huge Sandra Bullock fan and says we'll watch any Sandra Bullock movie, even if she knows it's trash.
There you go. Well, that's good. That's good for Sandra Bullock. That's a brand right there.
Look forward to Raven's thoughts on this movie as well.
But you know what? I'll tell you what. Just back to the trailer. The trailer was forgettable. Felt like a Netflix trailer in general.
It felt like other movies.
Yeah, totally did. Them being blindfolded for half the movie doesn't really seem appealing to me. But yeah, I think that it rests. If this book created fans off of the same premise, then I have hopes that it will be fine. But I will wait your and Raven's review, Dave, because something tells me that this will go by the wayside in my preferences. And with that, guys, I do say we conclude, because we are rolling here into the winter. Yes, fall is done. That means that we have a lot of movie reviews to look forward to. See how this works is that all the weeks and all the months before the trailers come in, we review them, but now is time to review the movies themselves. So going forward, we've got quite a few that I'm sure you'll be hearing us and the rest of the Nerdy Bunch give their poignant reviews about. But we want to hear your voices, so please email at us, info@thenerdybunch.com. We are also on all the Instagrams, Facebook, Twitter, multiple ways to get in touch with us. And review, like, comment, subscribe. That's how we get seen. That's how we get your voices out. And the nerdy theory, idealism, expression of all things that are truly nerdy. Dave, any last thoughts?
Well, I just want to throw a shameless plug in here, because we're always rolling and brolling. Last week, Raven and I, for our Back to the Future podcast, where we talk about movies from the past, in the present, as long as they're over 20 years old, we spoke about The Goonies. Raven's first time seeing the film; she had never seen it. Josh Brolin's first film. That's the first time he started rolling and brolling. That's why I'm throwing that in there, because we're always rolling and brolling. Check that out. Listen to it on the Nerdy Podcast. We have a whole bunch of podcasts, like Travis said, because we love giving it to you guys. Because if Josh can be rolling and brolling, we can be rolling and brolling.
It's true. We speak for everyone out there who enjoys Roland and Brolin. And with that, guys, sign off in the regular fashion. Dave, go ahead.
As always, guys, keep it nerdy.